G'day guys, Disney Dave coming at you once again from Down Under with another addition to my Blu-ray collection. Today we are taking a look at a fairly niche section of my collection, but we're going to be taking a look at some really spectacular films. Some of these are actually some of my all-time favourites, and I can't wait to get into them and show them all to you. We are of course looking at foreign film. Okay, so we are spanning foreign film from all over the globe. I especially have a large focus here on Italian and French cinema, but we'll be taking a look at other European and Asian cinema as well. So there's quite a bit here, but it's going to be one of the shorter videos of this series, but let's get right into it. First up, let's start with some Italian film. I am part Italian, so I have a little bit of a love for Italian cinema. I don't speak the language, but I do love the cinema from the motherland, as it were. I think it's just so beautiful, and I love Italy and I love Rome, and just watching a movie made in Italy is just something just unlike anything else. So let's take a look at some of these. Starting out, we have got Federico Fellini's 8½. This is one of the classics of Italian cinema, and Fellini is certainly considered one of the greatest filmmakers of all time, and certainly his movies were really great. The Bicycle Thieves, another great classic Italian movie. This one by Vittorio De Sica, who was also another fantastic Italian director. And another Fellini film, La Dolce Vita, which is one of the greatest movies of all time. This movie really is gorgeous, and if you have a chance to see this, please check it out. Speaking of Vittorio De Sica, we have got the Sophia Loren collection. This is a box set which I imported from the USA of a bunch of Sophia Loren films, all of which happen to be directed by Vittorio De Sica himself. In here we have got Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow, Marriage Italian Style, Sunflower, and Boccaccio 70. These are brilliant movies. Especially I love Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow and Marriage Italian Style. Sophia Loren is just such a fantastic actress. She was gorgeous, and she still is gorgeous at over 70 years old. She is just another one of those brilliant performers of classic cinema, and if you get a chance to check out any of her movies, make sure it's either one of these two. These are really fantastic. This has got a great documentary on Vittorio De Sica in here as well, which is called Vittorio D, which is a feature-length documentary, which is really great, so check that one out too. Another Sophia Loren classic, Two Women. This one's also directed by Vittorio D. This is really great, but it's very draining. It's very depressing and very dark and just very somber movie. It's about two women who basically escape war-ravaged Rome. This was actually filmed in the Lazio region of Italy, which is where my family comes from. This was the very first movie to be filmed in that region. And for me especially, it's really wonderful to watch this made in the hometown of my family. And it's a beautiful movie, but again, you really have to be in that kind of right mindset to check that one out. Likewise, A Special Day, a great movie. It's about Hitler, I believe, that the first visit of Hitler to Italy when he visited Mussolini. Again, very dark, very somber movie, but a real cinematic classic, and Sophia Loren is brilliant in this. This is one of her later films. When I say later films, I mean sort of late 1970s. She's still performing now. Cinema Paradiso, this is a classic of Italian cinema, but I actually haven't got around to watching this one yet, but I really am looking forward to it. Life is Beautiful, or La Vita è Bella as it's called in Italian. Gorgeous movie, but again, just another one that's so somber, dark, depressing, but it really is again another gorgeous movie. Some fantastic Italian spaghetti westerns, The Man with No Name trilogy, of course, A Fistful of Dollars for a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. 3 brilliant movies. And I also have The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. This is the remastered edition I had to pick up too. Now we're about to have a look at some French cinema, but first up, this one sort of bridges the gap between Italian cinema and French cinema. It was a co-production between both Italy and France. It is, of course, Viva Maria. I actually haven't watched this one yet, but I've heard it's really fantastic, so I do look forward to getting into that one. Now, let's take a look at some French cinema. For years and years, I didn't want to touch French cinema. I didn't even really want to watch foreign cinema. I suppose I was a bit ignorant to it all. It wasn't that I didn't want to watch something in another language with subtitles. That didn't really bother me too much. It was the fact that whenever I'd heard about French cinema, I always thought it was like pretentious and pompous, and it was the real film auteur thing to love French cinema. And I went to film school, and a lot of people who went to film school were just, you know, a lot of people who go through film school are really pretentious, and they were just always going on about how great French cinema is and stuff. I didn't want to know about it. But when I started exploring it for myself, I found a real deep love for it. Not because of how fantastic the filmmaking is, how avant-garde the movies were, or anything like that. I fell in love for the real non-pretentious elements of French cinema. And that is the performances and the storytelling. I think the storytelling in these movies are beautiful. And I love the way the French tell a story and perform a story. It's so different to Western cinema. It's almost very heightened and very fantastical and whimsical and wonderful. And the colors, and yes, the filmmaking techniques they use are beautiful, are gorgeous, but I just love the way they tell a story. So I'm a huge lover of French cinema now. So let's take a look at some of these French films. We'll start with some classics. The 400 Blows, Francois Truffaut film. Haven't actually watched this one yet, but it's an absolute classic. Breathless, or À bout de souffle. Apologies for my little French accent that I'm going to be sort of going through here. No, it's terrible, and I apologize if I can't pronounce these words very well, but I'm trying my best. Breathless, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous movie. I love this so much. This is from the French New Wave, again, a fairly pretentious section of cinema. People just love that it broke boundaries and they just made their film sort of out of the traditional Hollywood conventions. But again, that's not what I love it for. I love it for the storytelling, and this is great storytelling, great performances. We've got Belle de Jour. Again, this is a New Wave classic, but again, brilliant performances, brilliant story. I fell in love with this movie so much. These movies are just great. So if you want to start with some great French cinema, check out some of these. They're really good. I love this. Le Mépris, I haven't checked this one out yet. Brigitte Bardot, I actually don't think I've really ever watched many or any of her movies, but this one looks fantastic too, and I'm looking forward to checking that one out. I've got the Jacques Tati collection released by Madman here in Australia. I believe this was also released through Criterion in the States, but I believe the set is exactly the same. All the restoration are the same, special features are the same, and all of that. This is brilliant. I loved this so much. Jacques Tati was a wonderful performer. You would probably compare him to American greats like Buster Keaton or Charlie Chaplin. He was a real visual performer, you know, sort of not really slapstick, but sort of physical comedy, and I think his movies are great. And when Rowan Atkinson was developing the character of Mr. Bean, he took so much influence from Jacques Tati and his films, especially his character, who was a character that he used throughout a lot of his movies, and you could watch it and go, I'm watching a French Mr. Bean right here. So the movies in here are Jour de Fête, Les Vacances de Monsieur Hulot, The Vacation of Monsieur Hulot. This is brilliant. Again, you have to watch this one, and you see so many influences that you would see in like a Mr. Bean short, or even like Mr. Bean's holiday movie. It all goes back to Monsieur Hulot. Mon Uncle, My Uncle. This is a really beautiful one. Playtime. I don't believe I've actually watched this one yet. Traffic, I haven't watched this one either, but that looks good too. And Parade is great as well. He joins a circus and it's just all out hilarity. I think these movies are fantastic. The set also includes a bunch of his early short films, and I think something like 8 hours of special features, including this 2-hour feature-length documentary. Really great set. I got this for a really good price around the time it first came out. I would really recommend these movies. They're just fantastic. Any lover of comedy. Now we're getting to some more recent or more modern French cinema. 22 Bullets with Jean Reno. Haven't checked this one out yet, but it looks like a lot of fun. Next up, Amélie. This film is gorgeous. I love this one so much. It's so whimsical, fantastical. This is one of those French movies I was talking about where everything's so heightened and whimsical, and I just love this so much. And Audrey Tautou is not only one of my favorite French actresses, but one of my favorite actresses, full stop. She is gorgeous, and her performances are really wonderful. You'll see a lot of her movies here because I really love her. Beautiful Lies, another Audrey Tautou film. I haven't watched this one yet, but it looks like a bit of fun, sort of a French rom-com thing. Belle and Sebastian, one that I haven't watched yet either, but I've heard really good things. Beauty and the Beast, or as it was released in France, La Belle et la Bête. This is really beautiful. Okay, it's not as great as the more recent Disney live-action one. It's sort of not really what I was expecting from it. It's a more traditional take on the tale, but I think that's fantastic. It's always a breath of fresh air to see something more traditional. Really, really gorgeous movie, visually gorgeous. Performances are great. I feel it fell apart in the last act of the movie though, so I'm not in a rush to revisit it, but it's definitely worth a watch. Blue is the warmest color. This is fantastic. This goes for like 3 hours or 4 hours or something ridiculous. It's again just something that's very sort of depressing and dark. It's rated R for a reason. It's very full on. It's very in your face for very many different reasons. And look, I really loved it. I thought it was gorgeous and such a beautiful story. But yeah, again, one of those ones you just have to really be in the mood for. Coco Avant Chanel. This is the life story of Coco Chanel. I thought this was great too. Audrey Tautou is fantastic in this, and just a really beautiful biopic film. Delicacy, or Delicatesse, I believe it was called in France. Haven't watched this one yet either, but this looks really beautiful. Audrey Tautou again. Farewell My Queen. This one's about Marie Antoinette. I love the stories of Marie Antoinette, but I haven't got around to checking this one out. It's got Lea Seydoux, it's got Diane Kruger, who are two fantastic actresses. I'm really looking forward to watching that. Now this one, I'm saying hands down, is one of the greatest movies of the last decade. I have watched it numerous times and it is absolutely gorgeous. I love it so much. So heartwarming, charming, funny. It's everything that you want in a movie. It's The Untouchables. I cannot praise this movie enough. It is so beautiful. Please, if you watch one French movie for the rest of your life, Untouchables. Gorgeous. Irreversible. I haven't watched this one yet. I heard it's incredibly full on, in your face, as a lot of French movies are, because they'd like to really just push the boundaries with violence and sexualization and just everything like that. Apparently this is one that's just got a whole lot of everything. I haven't found the time where I feel like, yeah, I want to sit down and watch Irreversible. Jean de Florette. Apparently this is fantastic. Gerard Depardieu. Never really watched any of his French movies. I've watched quite a few of his English movies, but this one's apparently a classic and I do have to watch that one. La Femme Nikita. I haven't watched this one yet, but I have heard that this is fantastic. It's a Luc Besson film. He's made some really brilliant movies. La Haine, one of Vincent Cassel's very first movies, if not his first movie, but again, apparently that's fantastic. La Vie en Rose. It's the life story of Edith Piaf. Marion Cotillard is in this, who is also, next to Audrey Tautou, one of my favorite French actresses. I think she's brilliant in just about everything she does. Did she win an Oscar for this, I think? Really great movie. Check that one out. Oh man, this is fantastic as well. Mood Indigo, another Audrey Tautou movie, but this is just fantastic. It's so whimsical and fantastical and just gorgeous. Oh, you need to check this out. I've watched it multiple times. It is so much fun. It's a little bit sad, but it's very touching and heartwarming. Just a beautiful movie. They make so many just beautiful movies, the French. I love them. I love them so much. Populaire, this was just really wacky. This really wacky, just over-the-top French comedy. I thought it was so much fun. You have to check that one out. Priceless, another Audrey Tautou movie that I just haven't got around to watching yet. Renoir, that's the life story of the artist. Looks really good, but I haven't got around to watching it yet. Rust and Bone, another Marion Cotillard film, which is apparently fantastic. Haven't watched it yet. Again, another just really full-on dramatic French movie that I just haven't been in the mood to watch yet. And talking about that kind of movie, we have got the Three Colors trilogy, blue, white, and red. Before I watch these, someone suggested to me that the only real way to watch them is to put a whole day aside and watch all three back to back. These are sort of considered a trilogy in that they link thematically. They don't all have the same characters in them. Some of the same characters sort of drift in and out of each movie. And at the end of the third movie, you'll find out just really how they all connect properly. But they are just so different that one of the movies is a drama, one's a comedy, and one's a romance. They couldn't be more different in genre, but the tone and the style remains constant throughout the three movies. It's such a weird ride. You watch them all back to back, and it is a roller coaster of emotions over the 6 hours that you put aside to watch all three movies. And by the end of this, I was drained, like emotionally drained by watching these films. It is a cinematic experience unlike anything that I've ever had. I would never watch these movies ever again. But if you're gonna watch them, put aside an entire day and just experience this roller coaster of emotions. You've never felt anything like it. As I said at the end of it, I was drained. Emotionally just drained. And I felt weird for days and days after watching these. They're great movies, but it's a roller coaster of emotion. 2 days, 1 night. This is Marion Cotillard again. Haven't watched this one, but I've heard great things. Un long dimanche de fania. A very long engagement. Apologies, I cannot pronounce these words. This is the only way this was released on French Blu-ray. Hasn't been released anywhere else in the world. Well, at the time I bought this, it hadn't been released anywhere else anyway. But I was very lucky that the French copy, of course, was region free, but also had English subtitles. A lot of movies that are released on French Blu-ray don't have English subtitles. This has got both Audrey Tautou and Marion Cotillard in there. Beautiful, beautiful movie. Samba. I haven't watched this one yet. It's got Omar Sy in it, who was in both Mood Indigo and The Untouchables. Really excited to check this one out because I like him and I just love... I think it's directed by the two directors who directed The Untouchables as well. By all accounts, it sounds like a great movie. Just haven't got around to watching that one yet. Therese Desquero. This is another Audrey Tautou movie that I haven't got around to watching yet. Leon the Professional. I understand this is in English. It's got Natalie Portman in here in her very first film role. I haven't watched this one yet. I feel ashamed because apparently it's amazing. I'm only including this because it's a Luc Besson film, and apparently it's very French in nature, even though it is in English. But it can sit in there with my French movies. And that brings us to the back end of the French film collection. We've got just a few more to get through. We've got a couple of German films. Law, don't know too much about this, but it sounds really great. I had to pick that one up. Run Lola Run, or Lola Rent, I believe it was called in German. This is fantastic. This is another one of those ones where it just sort of, it's just such a unique movie, and does it keep playing the same event over and over again, but she does something different that changes the outcome. I can't remember. There's something weird like that, but I really loved that when I first watched it. We have a couple of Swedish movies here, of course. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest Extended Edition, and The Girl Who Played with Fire Extended Edition. Not sure why I have the extended versions of the two sequels, but not of the first one. I don't know. I haven't watched them yet. I've been told they are incredible movies. There's just so many here that I haven't watched in so little time. Now we have a couple of Spanish movies. Blancanieves, which is a Spanish version of Snow White. I think she's like a Mexican matador or something weird. Pan's Labyrinth, apparently amazing Guillermo del Toro film. He's a great filmmaker. Haven't watched it yet though. And The Skin I Live In, Antonio Banderas. This looks great. This looks like a really cool, just weird like thriller horror movie. Looking forward to seeing that. And Volva, Penelope Cruz. I haven't watched this one yet either, but I'm looking forward to seeing this. We have one lonely Danish film, and that is Royal Affair. When I bought this, I had no idea who Alicia Vikander or Mads Mikkelsen were. Now I know who they are, and I love them. I think Alicia Vikander is a wonderful, wonderful actress. She's probably my favorite actress at the moment, and Mads Mikkelsen is just great as well. So that gives me a whole lot more incentive to check this one out. And now we have just a very small selection of Asian cinema. This is going to round this video out. These are all Chinese Mandarin language films. We have got this box set here with Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, The Curse of the Golden Flower, and House of Flying Daggers. I haven't watched Golden Flower yet, but I've watched the other two, and they are just absolute spectacles of filmmaking. The Chinese really know how to go all out and just make an incredibly beautiful, immersive movie. You have to check those two out. They are spectacular. We've got Mulan, which looks great. I haven't watched this one. I really only picked this one up because of the Disney movie, and as I said before, I like really more traditional takes on tales, so I wanted to check out a traditional version of Mulan in Mandarin. Red Cliff, the special edition. This is the entire 5-hour movie. Now they released this movie in two ways. There was this special edition, which was the full 5-hour movie, and then they released an international version which was in 2 parts, and the parts were cut down, so they cut down a lot of stuff, so it turned out to be 2 hour-and-a-half or 2-hour parts instead of a big 5-hour epic. I bought this from the UK because at the time you could only get the 2 parts individually here in Australia, but now you can actually buy the special edition in Australia, and the cover is much nicer on the Australian edition, so I kind of wish I'd waited because I haven't watched this yet. I just love epic storytelling, and I've got to sit down and check this one out because this looks brilliant. And we're going to finish up with one last foreign film, of course another Chinese film. It is Jet Li, Hero. This is so good. This is a great martial arts war movie. And of course, Quentin Tarantino put his name on this. Quentin Tarantino Presents. Just basically means he was an executive producer on it, or he supported the release of it, maybe put some money up. That is really, really good. So check that one out too. And once again, that brings us to the end of another Blu-ray collection video. This has pretty much rounded out my main collection. I've got a couple of other smaller things like television and documentaries that I'll get to somewhere further down the line. But as of next week, we are getting into something I've been very excited about doing, and that is my very first Blu-ray collection update, where I'm going to be covering a lot of the movies I've picked up more recently that haven't featured in any of these Blu-ray collection videos. These are going to be like a monthly thing, so we're going to start with that next week, which I'm very excited about, and I hope you're excited about too. If you're a first-time viewer of this video and you'd like to check out some of my other Blu-ray collection videos, then at the end of the video I'm going to put a couple of hyperlinks to check out some of the past videos that I have done. And if you like what you've seen and you would like to keep up to date with my Blu-ray collection or any of my videos, then please also, after the jump, there'll be a little button that you can hit and you'll subscribe to my channel. So please do that and give me some support. After the jump, hit subscribe. To our regular viewers out there, thank you once again for joining me on this and all of my other Blu-ray collection videos. To absolutely everybody out there, I hope I'll see you again soon. Until next time though, guys, take care, and I hope you have a magical day.